This is the Global Broadcasting Service, serving remote outposts since 1928.
Hi, everyone. Welcome aboard the Walt Disney World Express monorail.
Caramba, we have something really big for you today.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Now then, hang on to them hats and glasses, because this here's the wildest ride in the wilderness.
This is the DBC Pod with Phil Schoen and Jason Dodge. Hey everyone, welcome to this week's pod. This is the show for the week of February 5th, 2024. Back on schedule. Phil, how you feeling? You feeling good about the schedule? Because it's about to go off again, I think.
I was just going to say, we're on schedule for the next week.
Yeah. So yeah, we're doing good. We got a lot of interesting. We got again another plan heavy centric show, which is what we're trying to focus on. And we're not going to dilly dally on nonsense that's all over the Twitter sphere because there's a lot of complaining. I see it's picking up with all the announcements of Epic Universe, which we covered last week. So everybody likes to point out all the failures of Disney, especially on some of the message boards that I frequent, and it's rather frustrating. So we're not going to go in that direction. We're going to talk about nice things and things that you should be planning. One of the things I want to mention was of a friend of mine that just came back from his Disney World trip. He's just joined Discord, so welcome. You know what? I never know how to pronounce his name. It's Rendecor or Rendecor. I don't know. I've never actually.
I would say Rendecor, so we'll go with that.
I've known him for like 15, 20 years online. I've just never pronounced his alias online. Yeah. Also, welcome to Glenn Davis, both two new members to Discord over the last week. So we appreciate you coming in. I think he came in before last week. So did we welcome him last week?
I thought we did, but we can continue to welcome him. It's
yes, because he was very nice when he came in. So welcome again, second time around. But anyway, he just got back. Rendecor just came back from his, first adult Disney World trip. And he brought his two kids, his wife, both in the teenage age room. I don't recall if they were like 12, 13, and 16 or about 15 or 16. But Animal Kingdom Lodge, they did hoppers, they went commando, not a lot of dining and all this other stuff, but they had a wonderful time. So hopefully he's going to post his trip report. I was grilling him like, what is the one thing you would do differently? And the only thing was he wouldn't stay at a deluxe resort because he wasn't there long enough to enjoy it. But he got a really good deal. He got one of those dining card deals. Where he got like, was it like $100 plus if you per night that you stay at a deluxe or something else like that? So it basically made Animal Kingdom Lodge like $200 or $300 a night, which was I think is a great deal anyway. But welcome to the community. Appreciate that. And reminder, you can find us all on social media at the DBC Pod, wherever you might social your media, and as well shoot us an email at thedbcpodcast@gmail.com. Remember the cast at the end of the DBC Pod, because I don't know where else that would be going. That being said,
somebody would get people very confused by that email.
Yes, like what is going on here? Because there is other DBC pods out there, but for motorcycles, I think.
Yeah, it's dirt bikes. That's the
dirt
DB.
Bikes, yes.
It's like dirt bikes.
Yeah, so that's really neat. In any case, there are some really cool advancements here on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, because that's all the craze right now, because things are actively progressing like on a day-to-day basis. Like usually it's like, oh, this building put up a sheet of like shingles on this building, major update.
Well, we're seeing that on the Polynesian DVC. It's like every day it's like more paint went up. It's like, okay, yes, it's going to take a little while to paint the whole place. Yes.
But a lot of things are going on with Tiana. So Phil, what did you bring this week about Tiana's?
Yeah, so there was reported a couple places. I saw the tweet with some photos from Mickey Blog, not to be confused with Blog Mickey, that they saw pictures of water actually being added into the flume, specifically that like kind of outside curve that goes down by the brambles and stuff for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So this led to a lot of speculation, that kind of what we've been talking about, especially you, Jason, that this ride's going to be reopening sooner than later, a lot earlier than a lot of Disney pessimists are probably thinking. And then I take this with a grain of salt. I haven't been able to confirm it in a second place, but somebody named Crazy Park Guy tweeted out that he said he's aware that some cast members are going to start their training, I believe even as soon as next week, for Tiana's Bayou Adventure. So we shall see, but it definitely seems like it's moving fast. And I think, some of our, like our friend Matt's podcast, he does the before and after. I think I'm more and more leaning towards the before whatever date he picked for this one.
What did he have? He had like August, I think, or September. Is this before?
Yeah, I think it was
late.
August 1st, something like that. It was, well, yeah, and he went after. At first, he was doing like November 1st or something like that, and then I think he moved it up a little bit.
I think he was talking with Scott Gustin on that show doing before and after. If you haven't heard that episode of Happily Everything Disney, that's a really good one with Scott, our good friend Scott Gustin. But no, I'm definitely aiming for Memorial Day. I'm still holding firm. And the funny thing is, I guessed that date based on a bunch of different things, and but it was a long shot. And then everybody's this is coming late 2024, and watching people on the forums of the internet slowly creep back to my date is just kind of gratifying. No one remembers me saying it other than you and me on this podcast going on over about it. But like just going, I was right. I could be. Well, no, I wasn't right. I could be right.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for you guys out there? If you were planning a trip for this summer, I would highly suggest that book whatever you're going to do anyway. It's only $200 at this point, right? And however, be ready to adjust your date if Tiana's Bayou Adventure is something that is really important to you. And I think it should be because it's an awesome log flume ride, right? So we want to be on it in the summer. So if you were my target was always Memorial Day weekend, but it could be pushed out. It could be somewhere in June. I wouldn't be surprised if it was June 21st or something, whatever the date might be. So if you are planning, see if you can be flexible in your dates if you're planning on that right now. So lock in something because it's never going to get cheaper, but get ready to shift it because it doesn't cost you any money to shift it unless it's May 1st and you're booking inside your 30-day window, right? So
and definitely also I'd say if you're somebody who qualifies for like annual pass or DVC previews, because we know Disney loves their previews. So again, if you might qualify and have some flexibility there, because I still don't know if it'll be widely open by Memorial Day, but like sooner than later, they're probably going to be starting some announcements about previews and stuff.
So here's my thing. Like normally, Phil, you're right about previews. Like Tron previewed for like 2 years before it opened, and Guardians was previewing a long time also. And it's usually weeks of cast member previews, then it's the DVC previews, then it's annual pass holder previews, and then it's finally open. It's this whole windup. I personally do not think Disney wants to go through 6 weeks of previews that's the forefront of the park, right? Like people walking by it and having to deal with like, this park is busy as heck right now. Why do these people get to ride this ride? Why can't I get on it and deal with that, right? So I think they're going to kind of push through, maybe secretly have cast member previews. Like it's the walls are still up, that type of thing. And I think they'll do like a week of DVC and AP previews.
Yeah, I still think they'll do some because they like it as perks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It might not be 2 months of it or something.
I think like if we don't hear that cast member previews are happening by the second week of May, I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
So a couple other things. Somebody reported from the parks also about this was they were in the parks in the morning, and they said that the construction site was never busier than it was today. It was a lot of manpower, a lot of people kind of walking up in all the scaffolding. The crane was really busy bringing props in. So I think they're really ramping up a lot of that stuff. And I'd be curious to, because a lot of people are like, how can this go so quickly? But I think all the props are kind of working off stage somewhere, and they just it's basically plug and play at that point.
Yeah.
It's just fine tuning.
Especially all the animatronics and stuff. Yeah. Cause it's not like the flume itself is there, right? It's just really the scenery and stuff like that. So when they have the animatronics, put them in, that's it.
So let me know out there, hop into Discord, enjoy the conversation. Let us know what your before and after number is. We didn't do this officially. Matt didn't do it on his channel inside Discord. Shame on him. He should have had some games going on. But hop on Discord. Do you think it's going to happen before or after? I'm going to give a June 21st date for open to the general public. Are you going before or after that date?
I think that's a good date for general public. I'm still probably going to air a little bit after. I think it's going to be July-ish into July that is fully open. But I think that's a pretty good date.
Okay, fair enough. So we'll see. So hop on Discord and let us know what you guess. So another thing that was kind of interesting was the first round of Epcot After Hour events was going on. So I know, Phil, you're paying very close attention to this. So go ahead. So what were you observing?
Yeah, they've been having here's the Magic Kingdom one and the Hollywood Studios one, and I was waiting for the first Epcot one because that's what my son and I are doing for our down and back trip. The beginning of March. So they just had the first of this round of Epcot After Hours. And I was really interested in looking at the wait times to kind of see okay, how are they doing as far as selling out? And especially intrigued because Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind is using the standby queue. There's no virtual queue. There's none of that for the after hours.
Can you remind everybody what the hours of the party is?
Yeah, sure. So the official hours for the after hours are from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. However, you can get in with your after hours ticket at 7 p.m. So you can get in there and see the fireworks show at 9. And then kind of from 9 to 10, there's that sort of people that don't have the tickets clear out. But if you have a ticket, you can start going on the rides at 9. So you kind of get four-ish hours of just after hours. But you can get in a little early to see the fireworks and stuff.
So you have two screenshots here, one done at 10:20 and another one at 11:35 of the wait times for Epcot. Yep. And I don't see anything below 25 minutes, and that's only Frozen and Guardians and Remy's at this point. I know I said somebody somewhere, I forget where I read it, was on Guardians 13 times.
Yeah, somebody tweeted all they did was Guardians during the after hours. They just got back in the loon and they were able to do it 13 times. During that time slot. So I was telling my son, he seemed pretty intrigued about that. I don't know if we'll do it 13 times, but yeah. So, I mean, pretty much everything. Spaceship Earth was 5 minutes. Soarin' was 10, Test Track 10. Like you said, the most were Frozen, Guardians, and Remy all at 25 minutes. So this is just 20 minutes into the party. So these are kind of, makes sense. The first things that people are going to want to do are kind of the heavy hitters. But then by 11:30, so now you're about halfway through the party, the dedicated party time, Guardians of the Galaxy is down to 15 minutes. Remy was down to 5 minutes. Frozen was 5 minutes. Test Track was still 10 minutes and stuff. But it's kind of, you want to get some rides in. Now, the downside to Epcot is it's a large park, so you can't really run between the attractions and get a lot of different stuff done. But if you want to get a number of rides done, this seems like a way to do it.
Let's do some quick math. What is the average individual lane cost for Guardians? It's still around like $20, $25?
I was going to say 20.
Let's say $20. The event is what, 3 hours long?
Three dedicated hours, yeah.
So if you can get on Guardians an average of every 20 minutes, that's 3 times an hour times 3. So that's 9 times. And this guy got it on for 13 times. So 9 times, that's $180, let's say.
Yeah.
That's roughly around slightly more than the cost of the...
Yeah, the party ticket, depending on the day, is $149 or $159.
So, you know what? In ill money, that's actually a pretty good deal. What
Yeah.
you care about is getting on Guardians, right?
Exactly.
So here's my question, because you brought up a good point, right? Epcot's a very big park. I'm looking at basically whatever a ride's 10 minutes or under in Disney World terms, that's walk on basically at that point, right? You're not really waiting 10 minutes most of the time. So what is, looking at these things, how is your plan? What do you plan on doing?
I'm kind of struggling, partly because I'm trying to get out of my son. Well, what do you want to do? What's your priorities? What do you really want to do? He's like, I don't know. I just want to be there and stuff like that. And I know he wants to ride Guardians, but I don't think we want to do it 13 times. I think I'm too old to ride it 13 times in a row. So I know when we get in at 7, I want to spend some time in World Celebration. I want to get some food from some of the food and wine booths, go to Journey of Water, and kind of that's kind of going to be our focus pre-party time. And then obviously get a spot to watch Luminous. But after that, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. Is it hit one of the heavy hitters like Remy and Frozen, like everybody else is, because that's kind of also near World Showcase.
Sure.
Or do we want to do something else first and then kind of hit up those after? I'm a little bit torn. That's why I wrote in here is what would your strategy be? It's honestly partly because I'm honestly asking. I need some advice.
Yeah.
What would your strategy be?
Well, see, here's what I would do is I would figure out when is sundown at Epcot on what day are you going? March
7th.
All right, let's look at this here. March 7th. Sunset, Orlando, Florida. 6:30 p.m. So for me, it's all because you haven't been to the World Celebration Gardens yet at night, and all that fun stuff. That would be my priority, right?
Yep.
So you're getting in at 7:00, so the sun is already set.
Yep.
So what I would do is, you'd be coming through the front entrance, correct? You're not going
most likely, yeah.
Yep. So you go in. I would immediately go in and either you immediately just go get your vibes and go into Spaceship Earth, like just go right into that and just, relax. That's your relaxing ride, right? That's kind of putting you in the mindset of Epcot. At least I think that's what you would want, right? It's like old school Spaceship Earth. And then I would immediately go and find somewhere, probably Connections Cafe, get something to drink and a snack, right? Because you've been flying in, you've been nothing but hustling and bustling and getting your butt there. I would get a drink and explore World Celebration. Explore all the new stuff. Go sit down, listen to the music. To me, maybe I'm overinflating it. Maybe it's whatever.
No, I definitely want to spend some time there. Yeah, so it'll probably be that balance of how much time do we spend there, but I definitely want to take your time and kind of pause a little bit.
Right, because is the fireworks definitely at 9:00? Luminous definitely 9:00.
I believe so. Yeah.
So you've got basically 2 hours to kind of. I would honestly go on Spaceship Earth, get something to eat, a snack, a drink, and then go sit in the World Celebration for like 30, 40 minutes. Get your picture with Walt, do all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then I would just chill in World Celebration. I would get all those vibes. Maybe you spend time Journey of Water at night because you weren't able to do it at nighttime last time?
No, we only did daytime, so I definitely want to see it. That's definitely part of the time we want to do.
I would do all the nighttime stuff, but I would definitely, because I couldn't do it because I had 3 young kids running around and I couldn't sit down and like chill. But like with you and your son, it's a little bit more controllable.
Yeah.
Grab something to eat, grab a bench somewhere, and just like soak in the music and the lights. It is totally awesome. That's one thing I definitely want to do next time somehow. I want to bring my kids back to the resort, have hoppers, and like sneak out of my hotel room, like Matt did on his. He snuck out of his room a couple times during his trip when his family was showering and getting ready for bed. I would do that. Then I would make my way to your preferred location for Luminous at that point. So have you picked what country you want to watch it at yet?
I'm not totally sold, and part of it will depend on like if my son is like, well, I definitely want to do Frozen or I definitely want to do Remy. As of now, I'm thinking Canada because I definitely want something with a good view of like World Showcase.
I would definitely do Canada because I did Canada and Italy. I really like the vibes at Canada versus Italy.
Yeah.
It did start getting not crowded, but people were kind of going there. There's no really good place in Canada to like sit and relax and wait. We got a bench right by one of the torches. We actually watched the torch kind of go up out of the rock. That was really cool. I've never seen that before. Or not the torch, but one of the speakers kind of went up.
Oh, okay.
And then there was a bench, but it's facing. It's basically, the cart where that sells the maple popcorn and the beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's about if you're walking down World Showcase and that's on your right, and the lagoon is on your left. It's probably about a good 25 feet past it, and right on your left, there's a bench that's facing the Canadian Pavilion, and we just sat there, and then once it went on, we kind of turned on, got on our knees, and just kind of leaned on the bench and watched. That's a really good place to do it. There's no trees, nothing blocking your way, and that was really awesome.
Yeah,
I would watch it there, and then from there, I don't think you have a plan at that point, right? I think. Do you feel like you're doing World Discovery type stuff, where you're going to go do Test Track and Guardians, going over to Soarin'? Is Soarin' over California a priority?
I don't know. I'm going to talk to my son because that was one thought I had was go with the crowd and go to like the land and hit up like Living with the Land and Soarin' at the first start when everyone else is kind of running to the heavy hitters, and then go over and do like Guardians and Test Track and stuff like that after the crowds die out.
I know you were Living with the Land buff. Is that a priority for this trip for you guys?
I don't know. I mean, it's on the list, but again, I think that's what I'm trying, because I know it's like a huge thing for my wife and I. I don't know if it's a huge thing for my son. So I'm trying to get all this out of him.
So like, I would say, if I'm just kind of ignoring nostalgia and favorites, right? Just from a pure like touring thing, I would already have done Spaceship Earth. if Soarin' over California or Soarin' in general is a priority because you've never seen it, haven't done it in forever, that type of thing, I would turn around, go do that, cross over and do Guardians, and then test track immediately. Get those all done. Because actually, I would do Soarin'. By the time you get out of Soarin', the party should be starting at that point, and you can get a walk on in Guardians. You're going to get smacked with that 25-minute wait.
Yeah.
But you get that out of the way, and then automatically, then you're now free to do everything around the World Showcase. And then at that point, you just walk whatever direction you want to go, get the food you want to get, and you've got Test Track, Frozen, and Remy's to get out of your way. And then the rest is just kind of the wait times or whatever. At that point, you're like, what do you feel like doing now? It's kind of fun, father-son type of thing.
Yeah, because my other idea was if he wants to do Frozen or Remy is to start further into World Showcase and kind of go out with the crowds, but then veer off into Frozen or something. So like watch from Italy and then go do Frozen right away. But I don't know.
I mean, I don't think we have to worry about rides and time because it looks like by the time you're halfway through the party, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, it's now like logistics. So do you want to be hustling all over the place or do you want to be like strolling, kind of like just soaking in Epcot vibe?
I guess my big thing is I really hope he picks I care about Remy or Frozen because I think doing both, they're kind of like on opposite sides of the lagoon. It just takes a lot of time to get from one to the other. So.
Well, I mean, do you want to do once the party starts? Do you want to do a lot of walking, or do you just want to be like chilling somewhere? Like what kind of like? Because to me, what I would want to do is, you were there in August, so it's not like you haven't been there in a while.
Yep.
But this is a fun special.
And I do.
Father-son
I mean, I
deal.
definitely want to get on a lot of rides, but I also don't want to like feel like we're running around because we're not going to get a lot of sleep that night before our flight and stuff like that. I do want to have some time to chill, like get some of the included ice cream and kind of just I don't know if he wants to meet any characters, but maybe if there's any entertainment or something like that.
Well, I mean, that's why I think if you can close out the front of the park. Right at the beginning, then you could just spend the rest of your time maybe you do 2 laps around the World Showcase. But that is your speed. You can do it.
Yeah.
So you're not pushing it. So like if you can get out Soarin', Test Track, Guardians and be done by, I don't know, 10:45 or so, 11 o'clock, then, because look, I'm looking right now, Soarin' 10 minutes, but I think you might be getting the last crowd of the day. But I think, I mean, I check what the wait times for Soarin' are at like 9:20 or 9:25. Because I think you get on Soarin', you go to Guardians, and you do Test Track, which was 10 minutes. I think you can get them done probably before like 10:30 or so, if I had to guess. And then you just explore the World Showcase. So you choose Canada or Mexico, and then if you pass Frozen, hey, you want to get on Frozen? It's a 10-minute wait. Boom, you do that. If you want to do Remy's, you get on that. But you take your time going all around, and you get your drinks.
Yeah, it's a good idea. And then we can
kind of chill.
And then when we come to the front back, we have to go back towards the front. We'll still have time to hit up Guardians again or something like that. We don't need to do it 13 times, but if we could get 2 to 3 rides, then it'd be good.
The only thing that I think gives you a speed bump in this is your son goes, no, I want to at least do it 5 times on Guardians.
Yeah.
Now you actively have to do that.
Yeah. But so hopefully if that's what he wants, I get it out of him early. And I can kind of
that's what you have to figure out. Like if he's if he's serious about like, I'm just happy to be there and I just want to like whatever, then I would do the part of the park where you can't do a lot at night, which is other than just sitting in the garden area and cross that off done. So the rest of your night is just leisure walking around World Showcase, taking everything in.
Okay.
Because otherwise you're going to be walking through the dark, going from Discovery to World, World Nature, right? So like going through the center is great, but when you're on the other side, it's either crowded or it's nothing special. Plus there's probably entertainment around World Showcase that you get to kind of check out, I think, right? Man, I think we killed that one.
Yeah.
But that would be my strategy. Like eliminate one half of the park, split the park in half.
Yeah.
For the party. And so you're not like going from Guardians to straight to Remy's, straight to Frozen.
Yeah, that's definitely what I want to avoid because then he's going to get tired and stuff like that. We can't do that.
No, I'm 100% with you on that one. You have a game here. Do we want to play this game today, or do you want to?
Let's move on. Yeah, because we have another game to play later. So
So one of the things that's kind of like a hot topic, and I don't know why, came out that at Universal they're getting rid of their Simpsons quote unquote land at Universal Studios. I've never been to Universal Studios. I just know that it's not a great quality quote unquote land, but they're getting rid of it. I think they're putting like Pokemon, or they're rumored to put Pokemon.
That's the rumor or whatever. I don't know. But Simpsons Land is fun. If you're a Simpsons fan, it's cool because they have like Moe's Tavern and stuff like that. But it's not Harry Potter Land or anything like that.
So one of the things was, they're getting rid of it, and they're like, why would they get rid of it? Because they're getting rid of it early. I guess their theme park rights are up in 2028 or something later in the decade. They're getting rid of it early, or rumored to get rid of it early, and because Disney owns The Simpsons, there was a rumor going on about, maybe they're going to put Simpsons in Hollywood Studios, because there's another rumor out there that some small addition is coming to Hollywood Studios. It's a big busybody on WDW Magic that apparently is known to have connections inside the company. I just have no idea if they're legit or not, but everybody seems to think so, even though he started off his long post about, look at all this stuff I got wrong. So I don't know. But anyway, there's going to be some small addition. But the only reason why I hold credence is because the gentleman who runs WDW Magic Forums is this the thing what I think you're hearing that I'm hearing also? And he's being very cryptic, and they're both like, I think so. And it's sort of like, oh, okay, it's two people hearing the same rumor. It's really cool. So that's a long way of saying should Disney put something Simpsons in Hollywood Studios? Is that good for the park? Is that a smart thing to do? And I'll give you two things to answer. Should it be something that's permanent or semi-permanent, or should it be something semi-permanent, meaning like Lightning McQueen's Academy in the back there, that's just kind of in an empty building that you kind of stick something in there, or something that's temporary, kind of like a meet and greet, and maybe the closed down Disney dance party, and they put some like thing in there for a while. Do you think it fits? Do you think Disney should do it?
So I hadn't seen as much about this, but I did see some people asking about it. And I guess there were some people tying it into that they've delayed the work that's going to be done on One Man's Dream in Hollywood Studios. And could that be connected to this or something? I guess my first thought was, first of all, I love The Simpsons. I mean, I was a huge fan of them when I was a kid and stuff like that. So I like the property. If they are going to bring it anywhere, I definitely think Hollywood Studios is the one of the four parks to bring it to. I'd be up for them doing some sort of display or character meet and greet or 4D film or something like that. So I don't know. I guess I'm kind of in between. I don't think it needs its own land or anything like that.
I agree with that.
But like a little, something in Animation Courtyard or something in the launch bay or something like that. If they took it, I think could be fun. And it'd be something new. There's a lot of fans. I mean, my son puts it on Disney Plus a lot. That's probably, 1 out of 3 things he watches on Disney Plus is a Simpsons episode. So, I mean, it's something that, obviously people that are older grew up with, and now younger people like it too. So I think it would have some fans. And again, it's something new. So again, I don't want a whole land, but I'd be okay with like a semi-permanent thing.
Yeah, I don't think it deserves a land, because I just think it's an aging property that why are we investing $800 million in a Simpsons land? But it definitely has strong streaming numbers. I mean, it's one of the top streamed like TV shows last year and the year, or ever since Disney acquired the rights and put it on Disney Plus. And I think like a temporary thing would be great. I think it's super popular. It's not, the show's not on in my household. I mean, I used to watch it. I haven't watched it like live in like 15 years, and my kids haven't discovered it yet. But I think it's super popular, and I think it would chew people up in Hollywood Studios, which is the important thing. Like Hollywood Studios needs things. So anything that you can do to put temporary status in Animation Courtyard and give people a reason to go back there. And
it'd be fun. Like, we're talking about, they need something new for the summer or something like that. Do like a little Simpsons pop-up party or something like what do they do? Donald's Dino Bash type thing in Animal Kingdom, where it wasn't anything major, but you had kind of a theme party, had different elements, could have some, I'm sure they could come up with a popcorn bucket or something like that to kind of sell, like I'm sure they could do something where it's just kind of a fun celebration, meet some characters you haven't met in Disney before. And something new, something to draw people to that park. I'm
with you on that one. Another thing to keep your eye out for those that are planning their trips or have planned and maybe want to change their reservation because there's a new deal that came out. If you have a Visa Chase credit card, they have a discount out here. And I got an email. Like, you could go on their website. It's your typical Visa Chase discount type of stuff. But what was interesting to me is they sent me a sample of 3 different accommodations for value, moderate, and deluxe with prices on them. And this is through, so I'll go for the first one, Disney's All-Star Movies Resort and Disney's All-Star Music Resort, March 25th through April 27th, $129 a night for a standard room. And I thought that is some old.
Yeah, that's not bad. I got to say, I've been, because I have a work trip down to Florida, and I was thinking, hey, while I'm down there, maybe I'll extend by a day and go see some friends down near Disney and stuff. And I was just looking for like Orlando hotel. I'm not even like looking to stay on Disney. Like 129 is pretty competitive to like anything in the area. I mean, you can find like some, lesser stuff, where you might not want to stay there for cheaper, but anything halfway decent was, a lot of them were over $200 or something. So 129, I mean, this was a Friday I was looking at, but still 129 is pretty good price for 2024.
100%. I mean, I can't. There's some places in the Midwest where I can get a Hampton Inn for less than $140 a night. So 129 is really good. Caribbean Beach Resort, my favorite resort that I won't stay at next time because I want to switch it up. But that's at $229 a night. That is ridiculous. That's you can get a 5th sleeper for that price too. This is not just like their standard 4-room. And to give you an idea, when I went at Christmas time, I think the rack rates were about $450 a night, and I was paying this price with a travel agent discount. Travel agent discount's 50% off. This is a wonderful rate.
Yeah,
and of course I tell my wife, from March 25th through June 29th, $229 a night. So why don't you go book something? Just put the $200 down. I'm like, look. $229 is a great price, but we're still going to be spending $3,000 on tickets. Like,
you're not just going down for 2 nights to stay at Caribbean Beach and then drive home. Like,
she's like, well, why don't you just do 3 tickets? I'm like, even then, 3 tickets is sold like close to $500 per person. We're still spending $2,500 to go down there, and that's the one thing I want to point out is for. Bookings are soft throughout the year. They're going to get even softer when Epic Universe comes out with even more and more details, right? People, travel agents, not like real travel agents that have big agencies, they're seeing a large shift towards Universal questioning. They're seeing a slump in Disney travel. They're seeing a slump in, they're seeing increase in Disney and Universal trips, like combined trips. That's even going to go. And even I've heard from travel agents that Universal people that do a lot of Universal travel, they're seeing a decline in that because people are not going because they're putting off their next trip until Epic Universe. So there's going to be a lull everywhere down there. So $229 is great if you are a solo traveler or if you have a significant other or a friend that you're going down with. But when I've got a family of 5, those tickets still hurt.
Yeah.
Like the room scales, the room discounts scale when you have less people. And so I'm waiting for Disney to come up with some kind of interesting ticket deal because I'd rather spend $300-$400 a night on a hotel room for my family, but get half price tickets for everyone, right? So if I can get a 4-day stay and spend $300 on 4 park tickets, I'll come give Disney a lot of money to do that because it's going to be any savings I get goes right back into the park basically when I get tickets like that. So I'm waiting for that. And the last deal, if you are a deluxe enjoyer, Disney's Boardwalk in $419 a night for March 25th to June 29th. That, sir, is phenomenal. Pricing.
Yeah. It's still not cheap. Like it's still expensive, but for having something that's in Crescent Lake and right near Epcot, that's a really good, if that's something you value, that is a very good price.
I mean, that goes for $600-$700 plus a night. I mean, like $419 is an expensive day at Caribbean Beach Resort, right? Like when the moderates and the resorts, the deluxes overlap, that's a good price for deluxe, because that's usually only Animal Kingdom Lodge.
Yeah.
If you're getting those cheaper prices.
I was going to say that's like an Animal Kingdom. I mean, maybe a little expensive for Animal Kingdom night, but yeah, anything on Crescent Lake, you never see anything like that.
No, it's absolutely fantastic. So I would definitely take advantage of that. So what does that mean? If you're listening to this and you've never found a discount after you booked, you can always go in. If you have a travel agent, you book through a travel agent, they can just click one little button and apply a discount. Like they don't have to call up Disney. They don't have to cancel and redo. You just click a button and it applies the discount. If you book it yourself, there's two different ways to do it. Sometimes they allow you to apply a discount to an existing package, but most of the time you have to rebook and then cancel the old one. And if it's within 30 days, which March 25th plus is, there's no cancellation fee. So get looking on those dates, or maybe if you can shift out, because I know there's some other standard discounts out there. But again, it's worth having a Visa Chase credit card that you never use other than your Disney vacations to get some of these discounts, because I've stayed on Visa Chase discounts plenty of times. So other than that, Phil, I think this is kind of a hint of what's to come with some Disney discounts. We saw a lot of them last year, but still last year's discounts were still within the realm of we've seen this before. They weren't any astronomical deals. They were just more volume, so there's more rooms that had those discounts, but we always got discounts because we always booked early.
Yeah.
And we didn't really save that much. They've got free dining, that type of thing. Again, not a major thing. They've done it before. I'm still waiting for the big shoe to drop for like that one, post September 11th type travel discount where they're just begging people to come. I still think it's coming.
Yep.
And I think it'll be coming this summer, because summer is getting increasingly slower. And this year, I think it's going to be even slower than normal. All right, moving on. We're playing a game today, Phil.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember what we're doing with this. This is a Would You Rather, right? Universal or Disney. We had a Universal kind of theme show last week with all their announcements. So, Phil, I'm going to give you a scenario, and it's always you have to pick, would you rather do this at Universal or Disney? And this is if you're planning your next family vacation there, not like tomorrow or whatever, but your next Orlando vacation. You can't pick both, right? That's cheating and not fun. So the first one is, would you rather spend 1 week at Disney or Universal? 1 week. And this is before Epic Universe. Excuse me. Assuming Epic Universe is open, would you rather spend 1 week at?
That makes a big difference. So assuming Epic Universe is open and we were planning our next trip for a week, it would be at Universal Orlando.
No, totally. I mean, a big, giant $1 billion park. Yeah, you're spending 1 week over there. And I don't know if I would feel bad. I wasn't in Orlando and not going to Disney World. It would feel very strange and very weird.
It would. Yeah, for sure.
But I would have to pick Epic Universe if I had to choose. Assuming Epic Universe is open, where would you rather dine? Where would you rather eat? If you had
so this one's a little tricky because prior to Epic Universe, I definitely think dining overall is better at Walt Disney World. There's some decent stuff at City Walk and stuff like that. But at Epic Universe, they seem to be pushing some of the restaurants they have there. And some of them look really interesting and new. And so just because of the variety and newness, I would think I would pick Universal Orlando once Epic Universe opens. But it's a little bit of a wait and see because we don't know what it's going to be. But prior to Epic Universe, I would definitely pick Disney for dining.
I would pick Disney, even if Epic Universe is. If I'm just going and spending a boatload of money just for the sole sake of dining, I would do Disney World, only because you still have whatever festival of the year in the festival booths. You still have a lot of variety of good dining options. You have a lot of quick service options if that's your thing during the day. So I am totally with doing Disney dining. I could be proven wrong, but I don't think Universal's track record with dining is not great.
It's definitely a safer choice to pick Disney. I'm a little curious about, do they step up the game with Epic Universe? But if I had to decide now, like you said, where am I going to spend $1,000 on food for my family? It definitely would be safer to do it at Disney.
Fair enough. What would you rather do? Where would you rather do Commando touring? This is open to close at the parks. It's just go with rides. Are you doing it at Disney World or are you doing it at Epic Universe? And let's be fair. Let's do it at Magic Kingdom, or do a Animal Kingdom Hollywood Studios hopping day type of thing.
So it's an interesting one too, because I think it can be really effective at Universal, especially with how close the parks are and stuff. But I feel like some of their rides with more thrill rides and screen-based rides and stuff, I get a little tired of it after a while when I did it at Universal. So I think I would have to pick Walt Disney World for Commando Tour.
Yeah, I have to do that too, only because, Epic Universe, assuming it's open, that's where we're going to go Commando for the day, right?
Yeah.
It's just a lot of roller coasters. And as much as I love roller coasters, you're going to see spending a lot of time in line for all those thrill rides, right? That's where everybody goes. At least in Magic Kingdom, if you do okay, we just got done waiting an hour and a half for Tron. At least you had the option of waiting a shorter distance or shorter time for like Dumbo or Teacups or like hang out somewhere versus like the only thing I'm doing is like Nintendo Land where all the kids are running around screaming, hitting things, or all one of their 4 or 5 roller coasters they got at the park. In what park would you more likely to park hop, or I don't know what Universal calls it.
Park to park, I think they call it, or at least that's what the ticket is. So currently, it's amazing at Universal Orlando because the parks are so close, and you even have the Harry Potter Hogwarts Express. You can go from one to the other. We don't know exactly how it's going to work between Epic Universe and the others, but still, it's closer, I think, and I think they're going to figure out a good way to do it. So I will say Universal for that one.
I'm going to go Walt Disney World because I'm not a big Potter fan, so. I mean, I probably see it's to me, it's cheating a little bit picking Universal for everything only because it's new. I want to experience it. I've done it, everything else. So I'm trying to ignore those inclinations in my head. To me, if I had to hop from Epic Universe or for something to Epic Universe, right? I'm assuming Epic Universe is going to be an amazing modern park on par with a lot of Disney theming and architecture and design. Because they show they can do it with all their Potter lands. I'm sort of carrying over that knowledge. I don't want to be in any of the other Universal parks. Like all those parks do not appeal to me in I want to be here. Like you're hopping because you want to get on the Velocicoaster. You're hopping because you want to do Fast and Furious or anything else like that. Like you're hopping because of a ride. You're not hopping to spend time there or go eat there or do other things. So if I'm going Commando, that's a good thing to hop, but like just hopping for the sake of hopping, I want to be in a great park. So if they do, Universal eventually does a good job getting all their other parks on par with that experience. I still go with Disney.
I definitely think that's one where you not being a Harry Potter person impacts your view because it is pretty immersive to take the train from one area of Harry Potter to the other and stuff like that. So.
I mean, personally, right now, which would I pick? I would pick Universal if you asked me today because of the Harry Potter thing. Because I've never done it, but I'm trying to like.
No, I get what you're saying.
Cut out that away, right? Because it's too easy to do it that way. Better use of IP: Epic Universe or Disney World. And I want to ask this question on a message board and just see how fast like it just turns toxic because I think this might be
I think
something.
it would.
Yeah.
It's another tough one because there are some that they do really well at Universal, and I'm assuming like even what I've seen from Japan or Hollywood with Nintendo Land and stuff like that. So it's like the best use of IP is at Universal, but it's not as consistent as at Walt Disney World. So I know that's kind of trying to have it both ways. We're going since after Epic Universe, so I think I'm going to take Universal because it's just designed around the IPs versus putting IP into places, which is what Disney's been doing a bit of. But I think there's arguments for both sides.
I'm with you because I don't think Disney's, other than I think scaled down Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge were their only attempts at like full IP lands in at least domestic parks that I'm familiar with. They're changing that, in their international parks, which I'll probably never go to. But I love Disney's use of IP. I think they do a very good job with it. But it's just like this ride is this IP, and that's it. I think with Epic Universe, from what we've seen of their designs and what's kind of growing up down there, I think it's going to be like 4 immersive lands that are just going to be bonkers awesome to
Yeah.
walk around in. So, assuming they're at least like 80%, throwing up a random number, 80% of the quality of Harry Potter, right? And everything else like that. I think it's going to be great. I'm more excited for Classic Monsters Land. I think that's just going to be so cool.
Especially some of the videos that got out where you see, I mean, obviously this is hype and stuff like that, but you see more and more comments from some of the people involved in it, outside of like the main ride they built for that is going to be something special. It sounds like,
yeah. I'm down for it. Which side, Epic Universe or Disney, are you more likely to include a water park in your trip? So you're planning a Disney trip or just a Universal trip. Which one are you plugging a water park in?
I mean, between the two, we're not big water park people, or it's just not what we tend to do on vacation. But if we were, especially if we're going to do a week plus staying on site at Universal, I think we probably would fit in a Volcano Bay day just because it's right there and it looks awesome. So
I'm with you on that. My family is a water park, but my kids love the water. We're doing a Great Wolf Lodge trip next month. And at Disney, I have no desire to go get wet somewhere and swim around. I've got more fun things to do. But at Universal, if I'm staying there long, I'm not spending 2 days in Island of Adventure. I'm going to do Island of Adventure, and then I'm going to do Volcano Bay. So definitely a water park on that one. Epic Universe or Disney, where are you spending more money? Let's assume the park tickets are the same price.
Okay.
For the first part.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a little tough because with the new thing, there's probably going to be so much new stuff to buy at Epic Universe. But if we're kind of getting more to a steady state where it's not just let me buy all the new stuff, I'm still probably going to buy more stuff at Disney. I'm going to spend more on food. I'm going to spend more on souvenirs, other experiences and tours and stuff like that. So I still think I'm more likely to spend more money at Disney.
No, I think so too. Just because nostalgia gets you to spend money. That's basically what'll happen. Who knows if it's the second trip I spend more money at, but I think Disney's still getting me to spend more money. I'm going to do one more. Ultimately, what do you think is going to require more planning in, let's say, 2.5 years from now? Disney World, Epic Universe, or do you think this might be a cheap out on this question, or a dual Disney Universal trip? So each one individually or a combined trip? Which is going to have the most planning?
It'll be really interesting because we don't know a lot of details about how for Epic Universe, how things are going to work with the ticketing structure and early access and express pass and stuff like that. Currently, it's a lot easier to plan a trip to Universal. So my guess is that's still going to be easier than Disney. So, I mean, I guess a dual trip, because then you have double the hotels and blah, 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 is going to be the hardest one. But I still think in the future, even with the new park and however crazy thing they're trying to get as much money out of that, and I still think it's going to be harder to it's going to require more planning to Walt Disney World.
What if Genie Plus basically changes to paid FastPass Plus in the old system? Does that change your answer at all?
No, because it's still, I mean, it's just different times that you're doing the planning. Maybe it'll change like day of planning versus for Universal Orlando, because now you got to figure 3 parks and you're going around and how you fit that in, and maybe Express Pass doesn't work at all 3 parks and it doesn't come with the deluxe anymore. So I don't know. That's another one that a little bit of wait to see how they structure things. I can't imagine Universal has done a lot of surveys asking about this type of question. So I think they're very sensitive to the fact that people are frustrated with Disney and find that it takes a lot of planning. So I think they're cognizant of trying to keep things simple.
No, I think I agree with you. I think Epic Universe still wants to stick it to Disney on the simplicity of a vacation. Yeah. So I think they're going to kind of really focus on that. All right. Last bit before we end this show is the DBC engagement. Last week we asked, how have your eating habits changed or evolved at Walt Disney World over the years? So this is not like for better or worse, just like you were different 5 years ago. How are you different now? Like, how has it changed? And maybe why it changed. Was it just because you're a different family now? Is it because of pricing? Is it because of strategy or touring habits? Like, why does it go? I think let's do you and I first,
sure,
Phil, because we have some good ones. Do you want to start off?
Sure. So one of the first things that came to mind is I feel like we do far fewer table service meals lately. Part of that is the cost, not just of the table service meals, but of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So having to cut back some places. Part of it is now I have kids that are Disney adults, and there are more places that are prefix. So, before we used to go almost every trip to California Grill and we would get sushi and a few flatbreads and blah, blah, blah. Well, now it's all a prefix, and the two older kids are like $95 a kid to have the Disney adult meal there. Like, that's just not happening. So things like that have changed. We tend to do just more snacks, or let's get something and split it or something. Like, I put less formal mealtime in general, whether it's quick service or table service, kind of more just figuring things out on the go, especially if festivals going on and stuff like that. I felt like in the past, and maybe it was just because we hadn't gone as many times, but it was always like dining was such a big part. And it's like, I want to eat here. I want to eat here. I want to eat here. We would plan all these things. And a lot of times it was like, we've never done that before. Let's do that. And now it feels like, yeah, we usually pick one or two new places we've never done, but we also still like try to fit in more favorites and stuff like that. It's not just like, oh, we have let's fit in a new place every single day because everything looks awesome. Now it's like, all right, let's pick one or two things, but let's also pick in some favorites.
Now, I think I mirror very closely with a lot of your sentiments. And a lot of it's changing because how you do dining at Disney World, what they're charging for the prefix menu, that type of thing is a big influencer. But like, to kind of give you the rundown of how we've changed our dining, I think we almost exclusively went on the dining plan through most of our bigger trips. Or 17 and 19, we did dining plans, and very character meal heavy. Great use of credits. We had very, very tiny kids that loved meeting all the characters. We loved taking the time and breaks that it allotted us for that. So it really, even if we were at the parks for 12 hours, there was a solid 2 hours kind of sitting down doing this at some point during the park. And then we transitioned to going light and not having the dining plan and still kind of fitting some character meals in there and feeling the bite in your wallet once we actually have to pay for it with a credit card versus dining credits. And that was our 2022 trip. And then our last trip was it was all quick service, light snacks, kind of eating on the go and what have you. And so we went from eating everything and wanting to do table service to no, let's be light on our feet and spend less money. And I think I'm at the other end of the pendulum on this one, and I'm definitely going to be swinging back pretty hard. Because here's some of the things I don't like about quick service meals, and it's not the cost, it's not the food, because the food's absolutely delicious. It's when you do a quick service meal, the kids go find a table, you run it in, get the food, Mill will order it, whatever it is. You come outside, you scarf it down in 5 minutes, and you're up and running. You never stop. And I'm working on our family movies, and I just got done with our Epcot Day, Magic Kingdom Party Day, and there was no stopping all day long. And before the table service, we needed a break because we had strollers and little kids. Now the kids can go all day long and not get tired. We as parents get tired before the kids now, right? They need to carry us from the bus. And looking back, my wife absolutely hated the first 2 days at the parks because she doesn't like going 12 hours, right? She, her knees bothering her, and she doesn't like going nuts, right? 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's actively wanting to go. It's just by the end of the day, she's realized we didn't stop for 12 hours. She's not saying let's go back, let's do something else. She's into it, but she's like, this is just too much.
Yeah.
And I think we have to find and actively plan sit down meals just to stop us from overdoing it to ourselves.
Yeah. You definitely need to find some break times. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a table service. I know our last trip when we were doing food and wine stuff it was food and wine last August. We found that the Odyssey Pavilion had tons of tables. So it was a great place to kind of get in the air conditioning, sit there. You could bring in food from a couple different booths and stuff like that. So I think there's different ways to do that, but I 100% get your point of, if you're just well, let's get a quick service here and just eat it so we can get on to the next thing. It's real easy to kind of, like you said, realize we've gone for 12 hours without really stopping. So whether it's a table service or something else, you definitely need to kind of fit in those breaks.
So I mean, like that's the other thing. Like I don't even want to like grab some quick service and find some place to sit. Like we did that this trip. Like we weren't like scarfing and walking too. We sat down. I like being waited on. I like sitting down and like waiting for my meal and then having somebody take it away and having an adult beverage and just kind of relaxing without like somebody else at quick service. Because when you're at a table service, like you don't sit there forever, but you assumes that they assume you're going to be there for like an hour and a half to eat your meal, right? In a quick service, you got people eyeing you because like I want to sit down and eat my meal. So like as soon as I'm done with my nachos, I'm like, we got to go. There's somebody eyeing us down before we, other people deserve the table. So for me, I think the next time we go, we're going to be like, we need to do, maybe not be a table service that we really want, but it's something that's not going to have a prefix menu. It's not a character meal, but we can get like, it's just like, it's more expensive night out type of thing. And I definitely want to do that. Because even though I want to go back to the resort a lot, I don't know where I'm staying next time. And it might not be as easy as Epcot taking the Skyliner back and forward. Like if I have to take a bus back and forth, I still might not like that. And then you're still at your resort and it's a moderate resort and you're still getting quick service when you're at the moderate resort anyway. And you're eating in your hotel room or something else like that. So, I think I'm swinging back into table service credits, and who knows, maybe next time I go under free dining, and this is not even a question. Obviously, we're getting table service everywhere. So, a lot of people in the community. Let's go through some of these things and then wrap up here. Mama of 6 was one of the first to respond. She says this might be the opposite of everyone else. We change eating for more often on property and more ADRs. It basically comes down when she was young, she had a lot of little kids and the income wasn't as high. And now as she's gotten older and more settled in her life, she has more money to spend and she enjoys bringing kids and showing them their experiences and doing other stuff. She's celebrating a lot more being on property and sharing those things that she didn't probably get when she was either younger or anything else like that. So it's just basically the eat more. So I guess she didn't get tired of it back then. She's now like, I love it. This is great.
Yeah. She also pointed out kind of what you were talking about, having that break. They have a few kids that are special needs kids. So especially taking those breaks, getting in the air conditioning. And like you said, they feel fortunate that they have the money. They can do this now. And so they are taking that benefit and appreciating it.
Yeah, 100%. Gene L mentions that we used to always get the dining plan. Worked for us when we loved visiting the nicer restaurants. Now the nicer restaurants are fewer and far between, and it works better to get the discounted Disney gift cards ahead of the time and pay as we go. Less table service, more quick service, which is kind of like my sentiment a little bit from our last trip. And when she means by discounted Disney gift cards, for example, is often than not, I think Costco had it like you buy $100 Disney gift card and you actually buy for $90. So you got like basically it's like a built-in 10% discount wherever you went type of thing. So that's what Target often does that type of thing. So
Target, because you always get 5%. If you use your Target Red card, you get 5% off everything, including gift cards. So that's one way to do it.
So I know my sister used to do that. She would have like a whole sleeve of cards that she would buy throughout.
We did that for our one Disney cruise to like pay off the cruise. It was crazy. I had like thousands of dollars. I was like, but I'm saving 5% on this ridiculously expensive cruise. It helps.
I'd rather spend the 5% and not having to deal with those gift cards. But TL Madden talking about eating habits. We are doing less table service now that we have 11-year-old adults, so the Disney adult syndrome. And that one child is no longer free. They're 6 years old. They did character meals when the kids were younger. Now they love going to places like Woody's Roundup, or now go to places like Woody's Roundup. They're way too expensive for their family and too much food. So basically, it's quick service. These split meals, but they still do table service for relaxing breaks. But again, maybe one or two versus one every day. And I think this is a theme that you're seeing with a lot of people. They're gearing down on the table service. So this kind of lends me to believe that we might see more emphasis on the dining plans to fill those restaurants back up.
Oh yeah, for sure.
However, I wonder if Disney's trying to pare down some of the menus so they can get off a prefix. Because now I think they went to prefix because too many people were booking and they wanted to guarantee, like people would go in, order $20 and split it and have like two people with a $20 meal. Now it's like, you come in here, you now are spending $70 per person.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to swing back in the opposite direction, but that might take some time. Who else we got? We got Herd Maniac was mentioned, that he hasn't gone to Disney. He lives in Florida. He goes on like DVC vacations all the time down there, but it's resort only stays. He just goes hangs out
until
with
recently. He just got
recently.
his annual, yeah.
So he would do a lot of the different DVC restaurants and stuff like that. So you know, so he was saying the shift was less to dining and resorts cooking because he also was able to cook on site also. So he had a whole kind of not weird, but like different vibe going on with how everybody else goes down there.
No, but I think it's
the parks.
I mean, I think this is a little bit more extreme than a lot of people, but I do know quite a few people that are DVC and they take advantage of having that full kitchen. So they're not, spending as much in the restaurants and stuff like that. So I think that's definitely a different way to do it.
There's a lot of DVC people that make use of that kitchen, but they're also DVC people that go more often. So it's not like, oh, we need to be in the parks. It's like, oh, we're going to have breakfast and have coffee and be in our enjoy. They're having more of a resort vacation.
They're having a vacation and a vacation.
Yes, yes, absolutely. We got a lot of here. So let's go with new member Glenn Davis. This is my wife. Used to hate going to Disney World. Now she loves the trip since we eat at the top restaurants. I schedule her for a massage on each trip. If I'm going solo, I am more inclined to eat quick service on the go. He loves the upstairs in the Columbia Harbor House where you can look at the window and the crowds below. So I guess he's just knowing his audience. It's like he's going for the food is enticing his wife to go down there, which is great. And then we got Lumpy. He says, our eating habits change every time we go. It took me years, but I finally convinced the wife that the Disney dining plan was costing us a lot of money. I guess he's not using it properly, but he is a Disneyland person more than a Disney World person. In any case, he goes on a whole big thing about the Disney dining plan, and that's just an episode we did recently, and we're just opening a can of worms. But he does, he says if he does do a sit-down meal, we prefer all you can eat, so we can schedule in between regular meal times. So, for example, he did Ohana's at 10 a.m., so he could skip breakfast and be full until dinner. So he makes use of like not overeating, but eating your fill.
That's a good tip, especially the restaurants that don't have a buffer. I believe it's like Tusker House. If you do like the last breakfast serving while you're there, they'll be switching over to lunch, so you can kind of have breakfast and lunch for like one cost and stuff. So that's a tip I know a lot of people do. And like we've talked about in the past recently, how some of these you get a ton of food, so you definitely aren't going to need a full meal after something like that for quite a while.
No, 100%. And you just have to make it to the meal. I tried doing that with my family at Tusker House a year ago, and we didn't make it. So we had to eat some a brunch or something before we went there, like because it was like a 3:00 meal that we got in there. The last one was Doxy. Says her dining habits. When I started going to Disney in 2006, mostly ate quick service and a few table services that were less expensive. First signature restaurant was at Artist Point. Then I started to eat at every quick service or table service at Walt Disney World. And I finally am down to just a couple at Epcot. So she's got a checklist and she's working her way through them. She's done all the ones at Magic Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, a few quick service in Animal Kingdom. Now some favorites. And she's pretty much done with all the table service at the resorts with several quick services to go. So she just basically has a plan, and it's just like she's just like Pokemon. She's got to get them all right. So I don't think there's any different habits here. It's just she has a 20-year plan at this point to get everything done. So I love that. That's what I want to do. I want to be able to go as often as not and just eat at all the restaurants and explore all the different foods. So I love that idea. My wife's a vegetarian, so it's a little bit harder to do that. So I have to trick her in some of those restaurants. Anyway, we're at the hour mark. I'm going to go over this week's. I always say that next week. It's this week's DBC engagement question. It says, you have to plan a vacation where you're at Walt Disney World for 6 nights and 7 days. You need to stay at a value, a moderate, and a deluxe, each for 2 nights. I guess they don't have to be consecutive nights if you don't want them to be. Which ones do you do and what days do you choose them? Remember, you have to do a value, you have to do a moderate, and you have to do a deluxe. And you can do multiple moderates, multiple deluxes. Like you don't have to do the same one, but what would you choose and why? I don't think there's any wrong answers here, Phil. But if we get some interesting ones, we'll definitely be critiquing them from a touring plan point of view or a logistics point of view. But I'm curious to see if you wanted to do a multi-state trip, but most people do like value all the way to their deluxe.
Yeah,
for the last day of their vacation. Or
doing the 3 stages. It's a lot easier to say like, okay, I'll do value for part of it and deluxe for part of it or whatever. But to do all 3
is definitely
especially with the different locations and stuff, is a bit of a curveball.
So I'm curious to see what people say. Make sure you hop into Discord, get into the DBC Pod channel, and share your ideas. I'm really curious to see what people think about that. That being said, we appreciate you guys for watching and listening wherever you might be. Give us a 5-star rating if you like us, or pop that thumbs up button on YouTube. We really appreciate it. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll see you next time.